Learner.
Try it again. And I'm Mira Halpert from 3D Learner. Welcome. We are going to do something just a little bit different tonight since now I think everybody is officially on summer vacation since, we are running into the 1st of July. So we want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like now that we can finally travel, and a lot of people are traveling, about traveling with your right brain learner and how to make sure that everybody has a really great vacation. Okay, so in 3D Learner, we have, when we're talking about just this idea about traveling, actually sort of any day, but I'm going to say that actually traveling especially is when this really comes out, is that we have to be able to have three really strong core beliefs. We need to recognize that kids with ADHD and right brain learners visualize more than anything. So that words that we create a picture in their head, and that your child moves towards what they think about in that picture, whether it's good for them or not. And what you say and how you say it is going to make the biggest difference. I don't know what there is about human nature, and especially, and I'm that right brain learner, but I have to tell you that it's always thinking about the bad things versus the positive things. So it's really important as parents that we help our kids go towards the positive things and listen to what they're saying and use their words to be able to make positive things happen, and tell them what you want and why, not with a whole lot of words, but be just very clear, and where possible, give two choices, not multiple choices, not 100% choices, but to the very best that you can. Try not to be able to dictate specifically what you want them to do. Obviously, safety reasons, there's important kinds of pieces, but you can guide your kids into two choices. Do you want to do this first and then go there? Or do you want to be able to choose one or two things to be able to do? I guess I'm stumbling here because I'm also thinking of so many different pictures and so many different places to be able to, oh, the pictures in my head of where we can do and what we can do is just sort of overwhelming. But I do know that traveling can be an incredibly exciting time for kids to be able to do things. It can also be a really difficult time and stressful time. Thoughts, Mark?
Next.
Okay.
A few suggestions. One of the most important things to do is to preview where you're going to go and give them an idea, not just in words. If you can preview with images, and YouTube does an amazing job, as does pictures of who you're going to go see, and you might have to remind them who Aunt Rose is and Uncle Saul because they may not have seen them in a couple of years. Okay? So when you give them a good preview, it enables them to visualize what's going to happen.
We also have to, let me say a point about that previewing. When we put our thoughts into it, oh, it's going to be so much fun to be able to do this. So much fun for who? So much fun for you. Remember? So be able to give them some choices or ideas about what things might be like, and make it so that it's fun. Why is it fun for you? Like, why would it be such a great thing? Maybe if you are seeing old friends or family members, you can give them a couple experiences that happened to you when you were there, or what would happen when you were visiting. But truly make that one, and we specifically wrote this as preview it, meaning really using images and movies as well as creating views into your own life, shall we say, about what life is like. Besides the preview, we want you to be able to create a true visual plan. Now, how many times have all of us heard to be able to make a visual plan with kids? I can't tell you. We've just had our own family here about how important that visual schedule is. I had yet another child the other day when the parent was like, well, why don't we see about doing this without creating a visual? And actually the child turned to his mom and said, no, mom, I need a visual about what it is that we're going to do. So create a visual plan of the whole big picture of what your trip is going to be, and then make a daily plan. So we've put this all in one piece, but we want to make sure that you use it both as a big picture idea about planning out what every day is going to be like, but also then every night lay out what the next day is going to be. Again, we've got these devices, use them about being able to preview places about where to be able to go.
And then travel, the only thing we can guarantee about travel is that a lot of people are going to have a lot of delays. And I'm talking about 2, 3, maybe 4 hour delays. So you just may want to alert your child that sometimes the previous plane hasn't even left New York yet, and you're leaving from Florida. So it's going to be a few hours. And that means having food, having drinks, having games for kids to play, and explaining to them what's happening. And also recognizing that you want to have food and drink for yourself, because very often parents do pack stuff for their child, but then when somebody's delayed 2 or 3 hours, they can get kind of grumpy. And sometimes when you have that last flight at night, they nothing will be open. So you want to prepare both your child and you for travel delays.
We're also going to be able to, if in fact, like when we talked about planning for delays, you need to actually talk to your kids about it. But they're old enough about different kinds of activities. You'd be amazed at different kinds of activities they can do. And remember, you're likely not to be the only family. We're talking about airplane now. I think probably more than anything else. But we actually had the experience when our family was young and we moved overseas. And yes, there was a long delay. And
Six
there was
and a half hour delay.
And with 4 kids from 1 to age 10, that was a bit of a challenge. But on the end, I wish I had planned a little more for that delay. So we speak from experience. But we weren't the only family. And it was fascinating how the kids and families sort of rallied around. And we ended up having now what's become affectionately known as sort of our airplane Olympics. Remember, and we started to be able to organize things. So yes, as crowded as a place may be, it started to empty out by late at night. But being able to find a place where the kids could move and do kinds of things, and being able to have those games instead of just putting them on devices, getting them to be able to move. Because the best part about that was when we finally got out of the airplane, I'm not sure the plane had actually really finished getting off the runway before our kids were finally asleep. So, you know, if you have to, if you're not the kind of person that's really great at thinking on your feet about different activities to be able to do, you might want to do some looking up of things that you can be able to do. But to make sure you plan for it now more than ever, people are talking about the delays about that are just effective life. It's just effective travel.
And you want to remember that kids are likely to be anxious, especially if they haven't been on a plane since maybe sometime in 2019. So give an idea what to expect and recognize they're going to be frustrating, because it's traveling today. People get angry. What you may want to talk about is it's not that things could go wrong, it's how you respond to that. And make them aware that they have a choice. And let's see if we can have the most fun of anybody on the plane or in the waiting area, because you'll see other people and you give them a high five when they're the ones that respond well.
So we've talked about the first 5 or so suggestions about traveling with these kids. But let's talk a little bit about who these kids really are, right? It's this right brain learner, ADHD. These kids have incredibly great imaginations, but sometimes they have a lot of people are labeling as executive function issues and regulation type issues, and they have a very difficult time being able to self-regulate, which makes traveling that much more difficult, especially if there are changes. So it's really important to be able to truly go back to why these suggestions are more important than ever than just traveling with kids. I can do that because kids that have attention issues, kids that have executive function, and especially our right brain learners that are very creative, that are very visual, and they can think of all kinds of things, even things that are not remotely possible. It makes that, remember what we said in the slide before about they go towards what they picture, whether it's good for them or not. And it just means traveling with these kids means that as parents, we need to be a few steps ahead of them. They also may have, the other piece about this, they also may have processing issues, which means if things change, they sometimes have a difficult time being able to make that change as quickly as we would really like them to have that. So we want to be able to try and lessen that anxiety and lessen that frustration level as much as we can by being able to do as much planning as we can. Because when you put all those three things together, which is where that we call that 3D learner that's right in the middle, that has a little bit of all of that, that means it's just exponential about being able to come
And
across
one of the things about it is water, when they're dehydrated or when they're hungry, is the most likely time they'll get frustrated. And a 3D learner, as Mira said, it can get exponentially worse. So if you have water, you have healthy food, and then if you do cross midline exercises, they might be punching across their body. They're kind of getting the two sides of their brain integrated, and they're much more likely to regain control than when they're stuck and when they're just angry.
And honestly, it always surprises everyone that Mark is always going through, like having this really high five and trying to be able to get them. First of all, they smile. And what happens when they smile is that all of a sudden different chemicals come out, but also it's a way for them to both breathe, take in, and relax.
And one of the things is we've also had as a family, we've had code words. When somebody gets really obnoxious, and God knows we've been on a few planes lately where we've seen it, our code word was tuna fish. And when we said the word tuna fish, it relaxed the whole family, even when somebody was being, obnoxious. But we just kind of use that code to keep ourselves in control.
And what happens when people start to laugh, right? That's also quite infectious. And the other thing about laughing, which we'll have to do another whole thing on laughter and laughter. But when people start to be able to laugh, it's infectious that other people start to do it, and then the mood just completely changes. All right. So the sixth thing, of course, is the hardest of all, and it probably should be in big capital letters that we should have started with this about you be the calming force. Oh my goodness, you might bite all the way through a lip. I don't know. You might come up with 100 different code words, but the point really is the calmer you can be, because I know you are also truly thinking about that anxiety and frustration and delays and oh my goodness, it's just not going like you want. Find a place in your own mind, and then maybe in a space. Then if you're traveling with another adult, to be able to have some sort of a nonverbal signal that I just need to be able to have a 30 seconds, not more, 30 seconds to be able to calm yourself, so that also is infectious.
Then you want to discuss the changes will occur and how you handle them. And it kind of runs in tandem with the anxiety and frustration. Some families, when you get to the airport and the plane's finally landed an hour and a half late, and then they come over the loudspeaker and they say, and luggage delays, so it'll probably be an hour before they come out. And you go, oh my God. Well, we know a family recently, what they did was the mom and the kids took one Uber, and the dad took another an hour later, because mom was able to take the kids in control, take them home, and the dad was able to wait for the luggage and get it and go on. a really clever way to avoid that frustration, which occurs when things are slow. And they are going to be slow because the airlines flat out don't have enough people working for them to get the job done.
All right. So once we're finally out of wherever we are, the airport, the train station, wherever the car, let's talk a little bit about the actual destination of where you're going. If you're going to a national park, or if you're going to a Disney, or if you're going to a place where you're going to be able to actually go to water slides or go to the beach. It's again going back to our number two about being able to make sure that you have a visual plan, make sure that you actually set certain things about time frame. Be very aware of whether if it's going to be really hot or if it's going to be able to be predicting of rain. You may be, oh, this is the greatest place for me to be able to be, but let's remember that if you've set up a plan, you need to be able to stick to that plan, and know when it's time up for your kids to be able to be done and move on to the next piece. But you need to being able to try and do changes on the fly. I am going to tell you when we get back to this diagram of who these kids are and how we're working with them. It makes those kinds of changes. Remember, they have a very difficult time with transfers of ideas and transfer of new things. That's not what we decided we were going to do. So be very careful about how you make changes in the middle of how when you're traveling. And also, when we had talked earlier about this visual schedule, about the visual plan of what you're to expect, it to the best that you can help your kids help you, and on you make a game of it about where you're going to see, what you're going to see. Almost make it, there are pre-made games like bingo, right? Of what you're going to see. Well, what happens if your kids start to be able to make that, so that then when you're at the end of your day and you start to be able to re-talk about it, whether you are doing words or whether you are making videos and creating a story for your day, that you will have some, I don't know, some idea, some notes that you will have taken together about what you saw and what kinds of fun stories that came up. Who'd you meet? What did you see? What did you smell? What did you feel? All of these things are so really important when you go to be able to journal and review for the end of your day, that you'll be amazed at what your kids remember more than what you remembered.
And by the way, a right brain learner might be reluctant to write it down, so let them create a video journal of what happened that day. A lot of fun for kids to do that.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing more than anything is, let's remember less is more. Isn't it a whole lot better to be able to have your kids wanting to be able to say, oh, let's go back and do that again, versus, oh, I wish I'd left 5 minutes sooner. So that's a really difficult, it kind of goes back to this idea about changes. That's a really difficult thing to be able to take in. But truly, well, let's remember these. I keep thinking in my head, they talk about the picture in my head, I keep thinking about these kids are kind of like this big cup. There's only so much they can handle. I'm trying to be able to pack in, oh, let's try one more ride, or let's do one more thing. That's almost always a recipe for disaster.
And let's say you're going on a plane, and let's say your kid is responsible for, they've got their computer, they've got their cord, maybe they've got a book and a water bottle. Take a picture of those four things that they're responsible to have and paste it, let's say, on the inside of a book. And then have them get used to checking to see if they've got the computer, they've got the cord, they've got the book, and they've got their water bottle. Because checklists work for work for pilots, they work for doctors, and they especially work exceptionally well for right brain learners who often forget things.
It also works for their parents too, because you know what? If you're trying to be able to keep track of your stuff and your kids' stuff, it's just not really fair. So this is even the youngest children. I mean, let's be honest, the youngest children that are sort of 4 and 5 can actually be responsible for certain kinds of things, and especially if they have a picture, they're the ones that can find all those kinds of things. All right. We'd love, one of the things, actually, I'm going to go back to this just for a minute. I've been reading, everybody's giving suggestions about summer plans and what to be able to do. And I have to tell you that I would love to be able to hear, if you're hearing this live, welcome. If you're hearing this after the fact, we'd love to be able to have you create comments about what worked for you, even what didn't work for you, so that maybe we can warn other parents about what things to try to avoid. Because we're all about preemptive, all about pre-planning, all about being able to make it positive for everyone. By the way, this vacation is for everybody. It's not just for the kids, and it's not just for the parents. It's for everybody all together. And being able to, it's been stressful these last couple of years, and I think everybody is so excited to be able to travel that we forgot how stressful even the act of traveling is, right? Exactly.
Now, if you also find you found this helpful and would like to see some of our other videos we've created on the 3D Learner YouTube channel, they're all posted there. We try to do this weekly on something that's relevant to that time of year. And if you have subjects you'd like to share with us, give us a holler. Okay, we'd love to hear them. And we have a couple of specials. 3D Learner, our core business is actually helping kids who have executive function issues, some who have reading comprehension, math issues, and usually the combination thereof. And we have something called a working memory assessment that goes through processing speed, working memory, how to kids' attention. And if for people who do that between now and the 15th of July, we're all sending in something called the Safe and Sound Protocol at no cost, which is a way of helping your child self-regulate and helping you too in that mail. We also have a comprehensive assessment that looks at the same things, plus how your child learns best, where they're strong, where they're weak, what their present level of reading comprehension is, do they have attention or visual processing issue, and then lays out a game plan on how to help your child go from stress to success.
Well, we've been able to help kids from actually all over the world. Virtually, we're having some people that are coming here to South Florida in person from
Washington,
across the country. We have a few slots open for in person for this summer, and certainly then helping transition into fall. We'd love to be able to hear from you about how we can help and how we can help you get the most out of summer help for your kids, and how to be able to help you have a wonderful summer vacation.
And by the way, to engage in a conversation, it's a no-cost conversation. You can either call us at 561-361-7495, or you can actually put the website link for our scheduling is 3dlearner.com/booknow.
I will
love to talk to you and have a great vacation. And if on the Facebook page, 3D Learner Facebook page, you want to post your comments either now or after the vacation, we'd love to hear what worked, what didn't work, and how we might be able to help more in the future.
Thanks so much for joining us. Have a safe travels this summer and have a wonderful, wonderful vacation. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.